Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. It's right before you is former President Donald Trump. And Trump has made news recently because he came out with guns blazing, pointing into the direction of transgendered rights. He has vowed to shoot down all rights in which President Biden has currently put in place to protect transgendered people and children. Trump came out extremely hard and he has pretty much vowed to slaughter the rights in which protects transgendered children. Now, before I go any farther, I want you to take a listen to this for yourselves.
I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers and performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous.
Okay, so you heard Trump. And many will applaud him on his side of the aisles, and many would have disdain for what he just said and would take great offense to it. However, Trump has used words like mutilation, in fact, sexual mutilation. And, he pretty much believes that children are confused and they're not in the proper mindset to make a decision of this importance on their own, or at least at the age of them being minors. So I want to tie this in with something, though. And what I want to tie this into is what Donald Trump said about the transgender community and what the overall LGBT community says about the black community. Because according to the LGBT community, they love pushing the narrative that the black community is the most homophobic. They are the most anti-LGBTQ people out there. But see, I think that people lose track as to what actual homophobia and anti-LGBTQ is. We have to break from this notion that somehow because people may frown at you, they may talk disparagingly at you, they may in church say that you're going to hell and things like that. Pretty much not overall accepting you. But Trump is a great example of what true anti-LGBTQ plus is. And that is someone who yields power, the power to dictate diplomacy, where they can slash this and slash that in terms of it really affecting your life and your livelihood. That's true power. See, frowns to me are a group of people who are saying things like, we don't believe in your lifestyle and God is going to condemn you to hell. That to me is not anything that should really affect you. I'm talking about if you're a grown adult. Maybe if you're brought up in that particular environment, in that particular household who does preach that, which is going to be most white people in America, because the vast majority of Americans are white people. The vast majority of people within the LGBT community are white people. They're not black people. So I can see where that can affect a child growing up. But I'm talking about individual people. When you're grown and you're hearing that, you're getting the stares of discontent, people not really accepting your lifestyle, that to me is not really something that can adversely affect you. And what we have to talk about is politicians, people who yield power, who can really adversely affect your living, who can affect your lives, such as Donald Trump. And he is a blatant example of someone who is very anti LGBTQ plus and trans, if that's what you're looking at. But I bet you anything the LGBT community is not going to call out Trump the way in which they have done others. They're not going to look at him and look at the white community as a monolith. They won't do that. I can guarantee you that if this was someone like, let's say, a black person who's done this, like Barack Obama. Imagine Barack Obama slashing LGBTQ rights when he was in office and saying things like sexual mutilation, confusion, I need to protect children from this type of lifestyle, this type of thinking. I'm telling you, the whole black community would have been condemned as being homophobic, anti-LGBTQ, based upon the words and action of one man. But the white community, they're given a pass. Obviously, because most LGBTQ people are white and they pretty much do not generalize themselves. And do you remember when DaBaby made some type of a statement against the LGBT community, against gays? And what did he have to do? Make an apology? And I believe he had to go to some type of LGBTQ center and do some type of sensitivity training. That's ridiculous to me. Are they going to require that Trump do sensitivity training? And by the way, Ron DeSantis over there in Florida, the reason why he slashed the API, what is that, API, Black Community Advanced College course on Black History, the reason why is because it included LGBTQ plus, teachings. It included transgender teachings within that. That's why he slashed it. That's part of the reason why. So with this community right here, it just seems like they tend to pick and choose who they want to name as the most homophobic group. When one of their own is doing it, they definitely will individualize that particular person. But if a black person does that, as I stated, if that was Barack Obama, it would have been the whole black community. It would have been, look at them, look at what they're doing to us. Look how homophobic they are. I mean, these people should know discrimination. They've been discriminated against. It would have been the whole 9 yards with that. But see, with Trump, they're going to keep it among Trump. And as with DaBaby, I guarantee you, Trump will not have to do some type of sensitivity training. He will not have to make an apologies or do amendments like they require of others, primarily black celebrities. This is the reason why they had no reason at all to criticize Beyonce. And by the way, that was the white LGBT community that criticized Beyonce, not the black LGBTQ people. The mindset of black LGBTQ people tend to be different. This is the reason why sometimes I believe that they need to separate themselves because the agendas are completely different. The white LGBT community, to me, is nothing more than an off branch of white supremacist organizations. But as far as this Trump deal goes right here, I'm kind of glad that he put that right in their face. Now it is smack dead in their face, and let's see what they're going to do about that. And probably people, nothing. They won't do anything about that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Seen Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you all